Now we're in Tribeca in the lower part of Manhattan. This is a real funky kind of old-fashioned part of the city. It hasn't gotten redeveloped too much in the last couple of decades, although the trendies are moving in now. There's a lot of very nice restaurants in Tribeca, but still it maintains that authentic old New York feeling. Great spot for walking around and seeing what New York was like back in the 1940s and 50s. And you might have dinner at the Tribeca Bar and Grill while you're down here, operated by Robert De Niro, or perhaps at Boulé for one of the finer dining experiences in New York. As night descends on the World Trade Tower, we're going to skyrocket across the city to Madison Avenue in the 70s and 60s. It's a great street for shopping, and the stores are even open at night. Now, it's quite dark out because it's New York in the wintertime, so by 5 p.m., 6 p.m., it's dark already. The stores are open until 7:30, and they offer some of the finest shopping to be found any place in the world. Madison Avenue is New York at its best. This compares with any of the fine streets of Paris or London, San Francisco. I don't see where anybody can top Madison Avenue for quality, for variety, and just interesting shops to look at. There's even little groceries tucked away here and there, and delis and really affordable priced clothing stores in the midst of the interesting boutiques. There's electronic shops that have got all kinds of advanced high-tech stuff. There's antique stores, there's art galleries, there's jewelry shops, crystal shops, china shops, furniture stores, interesting exotic fashions, and some pretty good prices now and then. They'll have their sales. Stock up on some warm coats if you're coming from Hawaii to the cold winter days of Manhattan. There's a real European feeling to this part of Madison Avenue. Again, we're around 70th Street, 80th Street, up all the way to 90th Street. You'll find these interesting kinds of shops. And it's a very safe neighborhood. You can walk here at night without any fear of being trespassed whatsoever. Just keep your wits about you and an umbrella handy. If there's a sudden downburst, as we experienced, just hop in a taxi if you get caught in the rains, and they will whisk you to any other part of town. You know, when you're traveling, time is often at a premium, and so you don't want to waste time. One of the ways to maximize it is by jumping in a taxi now and then. Don't be afraid to pay the $5 or $10 that it might take to get you from one side of town to the other. Passing the San Moritz Hotel on 59th Street, it's recently been renovated. It's one of the fancier hotels in the city, and it's not all that expensive, maybe $160 a night. The Essex House, another fine hotel overlooking Central Park on 59th Street. As long as you're staying in the Midtown Manhattan area, you have a wide choice of hotels to pick from. Later in the program, we'll be showing you the big new Marriott Hotel right on Times Square, where we're going to be enjoying a fabulous New Year's Eve party. Passing Carnegie Hall now, we're heading back downtown towards Times Square. You're watching part 2 of our special holiday look at New York City as we gaze down the lengthy vista of 7th Avenue at night. Hope you were tuned in last week. We enjoyed Christmas in New York, and we took you inside the Sheraton Hotel, very fine place right near Times Square. Tonight's show, we're focusing on New Year's Eve later in the program as we look at the monolithic towers of Rockefeller Center. Rainbow Room is one of the highlights of Rockefeller Center. It's at the top of the GE building, and from here you have an unparalleled view of Manhattan. The Empire State Building, the World Trade Towers in the distance, and then looking in the other direction you see the Chrysler Building, the AT&T Tower. There's a view of 5 of the 10 tallest buildings in America right there. The Citicorp Center is one of those. Last show we were inside the Citicorp Center. Tonight we're inside the bar at the Rainbow Room. It's a very fancy restaurant as well, and it's located right in the heart of Midtown in Rockefeller Center. There's 19 buildings in Rockefeller Center. It's the largest commercial complex in the country. Some bright lights of Times Square right in the heart of the city. This is the crossroads of the world. And even when it's raining, or perhaps even more so when it's raining as it is here, It's a city of bright lights and glitter. You see the lights and colors reflected on the streets as well as on the signs on the buildings. Always something going on at Times Square. This part of the city never sleeps. Talk about a going out of business sale. They were selling everything. They were even selling the racks that the clothes were on, and they're selling the furniture, they're selling the doors and the windows and the frames. They were closing down tonight and they wanted to get rid of everything. It wasn't one of these fake going out of business sales. You'll see going out of business sales all over the city, and they usually mean it. Businesses come and go here. 47th Street photo. You've read about it in the magazines, perhaps, if you're a photo bug. Well, here's what it looks like on the inside. All kinds of audio and video gear at a good price. The giant billboards of Times Square have come back. They were threatened for a while a few years ago, but they're back in force now. This pyramid in the sky floats over a new building that was the subject of a recent book called Skyscraper. There was also a documentary film made about the construction of that incredible new postmodern skyscraper. Manhattan is growing every day. Even Times Square is growing. It's gotten a lot cleaner and a lot safer than it was back in the 70s and the 80s. A coalition of businesses around the neighborhood have really forged an alliance and invested a lot of money to clean this neighborhood up. And they have their own private security guards that you see out patrolling that supplement the New York City police efforts. And so it really is quite a lively and comfortable and fascinating place to be, Times Square. There's over 10,000 restaurants in New York City offering a wide variety of dining experiences, and one of the nicer ones is the Union Square Cafe. This is in lower Midtown Manhattan, right on Union Square, and they have some fine food here, some great linguine. They've got fresh fish, of course, all the variety of meals that you'd find in a great New York bistro, the Union Square Cafe. It's a very busy place, very popular. It's one of the top 10 restaurants often quoted in surveys in Zaggett's Guide and other such looks at New York City. It's a lot of fun. It's one of those trendy places that also has a lot of substance to it. Another restaurant we particularly enjoyed is called Remy's, and that's backed by the New York Sheraton. It's an Italian restaurant. New York has got probably the country's largest collection of ethnic restaurants, if not the largest collection in the world. All prices, all categories, of course delis. New York has a deli on every other corner, it seems. And the prices in a lot of these restaurants are cheap. You'd be surprised. You might think, oh, a trip to New York is going to be very expensive. But no, the food in restaurants at a regular neighborhood type place is not any more expensive than anywhere in Honolulu, probably cheaper. And the price of goods in stores in New York can also be a bargain if you know where to shop and how to shop. But you've got to be careful, especially if you're buying diamonds in the Diamond Center. There was a recent expose on TV about some of these guys selling very inferior pieces of diamond, pretending it was a higher grade of stone. So you've got to watch out no matter what you buy. And when you're careful, you'll find lots of fun places to spend your money in New York City. As we look at more of the exciting sights of Times Square and the Rockefeller Center area of Midtown, I'd like to just mention a few of the items coming up in our program. We'll be taking a trip to Lower Manhattan, going by subway down to SoHo and Greenwich Village, down to Chinatown, and down to Little Italy. And then climaxing later in the program with New Year's Eve at Times Square. Times Square, what a fantastic place it is, by day or by night. There's stores, restaurants, just things to see. You can stand on a street corner and watch the world go by here at Times Square and have fun without even hardly trying. It's like the treats of the world are delivered to you on a conveyor belt here. We're also in the center of the theater district, Not just movie theaters, but the Broadway stage experience. And one good place to buy your tickets is here at TKTS Tickets. They sell half-price tickets on the day of performance. So be prepared to line up for about half an hour maybe longer, and save a bundle on your theater tickets. I wouldn't want this guy to be fixing the locks in my car. There's a lot of beat-up old cars in the city. These drivers are pretty crazy. Watch it when you're walking. Sometimes it's safer to jaywalk than it is to cross at an intersection, because that way there's only one street they can mow you down on, whereas from an intersection there's 4 corners they can come at you from. Just got to play it by ear. You'll pick up the skills pretty quickly, because you got to do a lot of walking when you're in Manhattan. Or you can also ride the subway to get around, and here's how we do it. One of the best ways to get around New York City is by subway. It's only $1.25 for a token, and that'll carry you any place in the city. We're going from Midtown now down to Chinatown for lunch, and it'll just take about 10-15 minutes to get down there. It's about halfway through the length of Manhattan. It's a lot quicker than going by surface. You get caught in traffic, and it's more expensive if you go by taxi. So we're going to be going by subway down to Chinatown. You'll run into those Stravinskys of the subway, and jugglers and comedians and even beggars down here in the underworld. It carries more people than any other subway in the world, and it's really quite safe, so go ahead and use it. You'll see all kinds of characters.
Go for it. Joey Joe, X-Man original. I am not a clone. I'm the best biker.
Bullshit.
Don't believe that.
Bullshit.
I'm the best biker in New York. I've been out here 12 years. I've gone as fast as 80 miles an hour.
Okay.
This is why I wear this protective gear in case I fall. But I ain't gonna fall.
All right.
Amen.
Let's see you go.
Right, you tell them. Bicycle messengers are the real kamikazes of the city. They can deliver stuff quicker than anybody because of the congested streets. They cut through it all. And rising above it all, the grand Empire State Building, the idealized form of a city skyscraper. If you're planning a trip to New York, there are several important guidebooks you should pick up and read through and study before you go. There's the Green Michelin Guide to Manhattan. There's the Access Guide to New York City. Voter's Guide is pretty helpful. And the new Eyewitness series, New York, is a very interesting picture book packed with information. We're down in the East Village now, in one of the open markets. You'll find a lot of sidewalk sellers throughout New York City. And in this case, they've taken over a little empty lot and put up all their different stands for food and clothing. Tower Records is nearby in the East Village on East 4th Street. The Bottom Line Cabaret is a famous old spot. And now we've made it to Greenwich Village. The heart of the village is Washington Square, with the triumphal arch at the foot of 5th Avenue. Washington Square North has got these old historic townhouses that date back 150 years. Henry James lived there. And then there's West 10th Street. Kind of garish, tacky shops. Chains and leathers and hippie paraphernalia still survive in Greenwich Village. This is a very old and historic part of the city, particularly on the western edge of Greenwich Village over by Sheridan Square and Sheridan Street. And then we make it down to Chinatown, just a few blocks south from Greenwich Village. This is the largest Chinatown in the Western world. This is where all the immigrants from China are still coming through. They've been coming through for over 100 years, and now even more so, they're streaming in from Hong Kong, from China, legally or illegally. They're here, and it's a real lively spot. It's a wonderful part of the city because it's very much pedestrian-oriented. There's the shops right on the sidewalks, and there's not a lot of car traffic in Chinatown, so you can cross the streets and not worry about getting run over. And there's tons of things Chinese here. It's a great place to catch up on your rice if you're traveling from Hawaii. And just next door is Little Italy, It used to be much bigger, but it's been swallowed up by half of Chinatown now. But there's still several blocks of Little Italy on Mulberry Street. Ferrara, a great pastry shop. And of course you'll find your pizzas and pastas. Lots of great restaurants here to enjoy. And the prices are right in Little Italy. For $6 or $7 you can have a very decent lunch. There's some chocolate shops, pastry shops, and the Italian atmosphere still lives in Little Italy. Umberto's Clam House, one of the mafioso was gunned down there, so you know it must be a good restaurant. Of course, there's Italian restaurants scattered all over New York City, scattered all over the world, since it's one of the world's most popular cuisines. But a fine place to sample it is down there in Little Italy, just between Chinatown and the Village. And just take a left and you'll end up in SoHo. This is a real trendy part of the city. SoHo has got a lot of art galleries and antique stores and food stores. And one of the most interesting food emporiums is Dean and DeLuca. This is a giant place and it's loaded with fresh foods and packaged foods and kitchen gadgets of all kinds. Look at the herbs. This is the way herbs should be presented. Not in tiny plastic bags the way we get them in Hawaii. And there's other terrific fresh foods from the New York metropolitan area and flown in from all parts of the world here at Dean and DeLuca. They are located in SoHo on Broadway at Prince Street. They've got a terrific selection of fresh breads. They've got lots of kitchen gadgets. They've got wines. They've got pots and pans. They sell cheeses and pastries, fresh pastas. It's rivaled perhaps by Zabar's, which is located uptown at Broadway and 80th Street at the other end of Broadway. But it's pretty hard to beat Dean and DeLuca's. And it's in a real interesting neighborhood as well, too. SoHo is a place that if you have a couple of days in New York, you should try and make some time to get down to SoHo, have some pastries. There's a lot of restaurants in SoHo you can enjoy. And there's lots of outdoor street markets scattered throughout this neighborhood. You can buy some pretty cheap clothes at these outdoor places. You kind of suspect, well, maybe they're not paying much rent and maybe they're not paying much taxes, so their prices are right here in the outdoor places. A lot of art galleries, of course. SoHo is one of the art centers of the city and a fashion center of the city as well, too. SoHo is noted for its architectural style of cast iron buildings you see here and here. Now, this is a fake one painted by Philip Haas in the trompe-l'oeil fashion to trick the eye and make you think it's a cast iron building. It's just a brick facade painted to look that way. This gallery is exhibiting 3D paintings. You had to put on those funny little red and green eyeglasses to see the 3D effect, typical of the avant-garde art scene you'll find down in SoHo. And a lot of little boutiques, little antique shops, funky old-fashioned architecture. Green Street is one of the main thoroughfares of SoHo. There's furniture stores here as well. There's shops for babies. There's shops for everybody. Some of the other streets to look for here in SoHo are Prince Street, West Broadway, Grand Street, Broome Street, and Worcester Street. SoHo means south of Houston, so it's generally this neighborhood between Tribeca and Greenwich Village, south of Houston Street. It's about 10 square blocks, and it's a rather unpretentious kind of neighborhood, even though it's gotten a little trendy. You'll find art in all forms in SoHo. You can even string it around your neck. It's simply amazing to see what you can buy on the sidewalks of New York. Pretty as a picture. You may have noticed that our two-part series on New York is focusing just on Manhattan. Well, that's because there's really not a lot to see for the visitor in the outer boroughs. Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Staten Island, forget about it. You don't really have to go out to those boroughs. Everything you want to see in New York is in Manhattan, from 90th Street on down to Battery Park City. That'll keep you busy for at least 5 or 6 days if you really want to see New York. And yes, take the subway to get around town. Don't be paranoid. It's not as dangerous as people might think. Just be careful. Don't travel really late at night by yourself in a deserted part of town. But with normal precautions, it'll take you everywhere, including to Macy's, the world's largest department store. Especially at Christmas time, Macy's is a lot of fun, even today. It's not the world's best department store that it may have been 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's gone through some hard times. The toy department has shrunk into a small version of its former self, unfortunately. The windows, well, they don't move anymore, but they're nicely decorated. So drop in and pay a visit, pay your homage to the world's largest department store. Another great spot to see, especially at Christmas time, is Lord & Taylor. They have a wonderful window, little animated figures, historic events. It's a great place to go shopping right on 5th Avenue. And even though we're here in the week just after Christmas, the Christmas decorations are still up. In fact, throughout the city, most of the Christmas decorations stay up through New Year's. So it's a good tip if you want to stay home in Hawaii and enjoy the Christmas holiday with your friends and family, then take off and go to New York and enjoy post-Christmas shopping specials and then New Year's Eve in the big city. One of the better restaurants in New York City is an American Place right on Park Avenue.
All right, what we have here is a cedar plank salmon, Atlantic salmon, with a soft corn sweet potato pudding and a cranberry vinaigrette with whole poached cranberries. Well, the whole theme of the place is based on American items, American ideas, American products that I've been working with Larry Forgione for the last 14 years. And it's basically done with using ideas and concepts that have been over time, trying to dispel the notion of American food as only as hamburgers and hot dogs and all those type of things, you know. It's just then being creative and doing things on your own, and using the product from America. Basically what we do.
Okay.
This is grilled swordfish with a nest of fried potatoes and an herb butter sauce with fresh sage. Pan roast mahi, risotto, grilled salt oregano. Pick up.
Food, 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 food. There's food for all kinds of budgets in New York City. It's quite simply the culinary capital of the world. You can eat on a budget for $5 or you can splurge for $150. It comes in all price ranges. The greatest variety you'll find anywhere. There's all sorts of places you can eat in New York. You can have expensive meals in fancy restaurants, hot dogs at corner hot dog stands, or you can dine al fresco in the park as we're doing. Go to a deli and pick up some food supplies, delicious but not costly, and enjoy a fine meal outdoors. There's a lot of these open, free public spaces you can sit down in throughout the city. Here we're right next to Paley Park, which is one of the famous little spots on 53rd Street, just off of 5th Avenue. Having some coffee we bought in the deli across the street. You can have a complete meal for two here for $5 or $6, or an extravagant luncheon for $10 or $15 if you want to go all the way. So this is one of the pleasures of New York, the variety of eating experiences. Well, as the next New Yorker, it has been my genuine pleasure to bring you the Big Apple and show you the city.